Hello, good day. I am KRnfrnc Jumuad and I'm going to report restructuring organizations. Organizational restructuring is a social unit of people that is structured and managed to meet a need or to pursue collective goals is called an organization. Organizational structure consists of activities such as task allocation, coordination, and supervision, which are directed towards the achievement of organizational goals. Next is organizations are a variant of clustered entities. An organization can be structured in many different ways, depending on their objectives. The structure of an organization will determine the modes in which it operates and performs. There is a visual schematic of organizational chart. First is the Chief Operating Officer, which is called a COO. And then the under of this COO is a Vice President. There's three types of Vice President. When it comes to a visual schematic of organizational chart, a Vice President of Marketing, a Vice President of Operations, and a Vice President of Finance. Under of the Vice President Marketing is Sales Manager and Marketing Advertising Research Manager. Sorry for the inconvenience. The second one is the Vice President Operations. The under of this is a Production Manager, Service Manager, Facilities Manager. The third one is Vice President Finance. The under of this is Accounts Receivable Manager and Accounts Payable Manager. That's a visual schematic organizational chart. And the under of Chief Operating Officer or the COO. Next is organizational structuring. Is a business organization makes changes in personnel and departments and change how workers and departments report to one another to meet market conditions. Some companies shift organizational structure to expand to serve growing markets, and other companies recognize, downsize, or eliminate departments to conserve overhead. Some companies shift organizational structure to expand to serve growing markets, and other companies recognize, downsize, or eliminate departments to conserve overhead. Next is organization restructuring happens when the reporting hierarchy. Organizational restructuring happens when the reporting hierarchy of a company changes. After organization restructuring, certain groups will report to different departments, and some departments may be newly created or disappear altogether. Next is the causes of organizational restructuring. First is changing strategy. Next is causes of organizational restructuring. First is changing strategy. Second is changing structural types, downsizing, and expanding. The changing strategy is a company's recognized structure to accommodate the market shifts. Some companies create new divisions to facilitate new products or product lines. Some companies trim production staff due to surplus production. Some companies increase sales staff to drive sales. That's how changing strategy when it comes to companies. And the second one is changing structural types. In changing structural types, companies often rearrange business structure to follow a new business model. Some companies shift organizational structure. Sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry, dapat ko kasalang balay. Companies often rearrange business. Changing structural types. Again. Companies often rearrange business structure to follow a new business model. Some companies shift organizational structure to a regional model to assign local managers. Some companies create a matrix grid to place the key managers over various department and divisions. So first, when companies often rearrange business structure to follow a new business model, is like, for example, na sila'y bagong nakita nga pamaagi sa ilang business, like sa sabon. Sa sabon, pwede na sila'y usbon nga ngalan or what, inana ang So, for example, in companies often rearrange business structure to follow a new business models, like rearrange, like i-arrange mo imong mga staff, from manager to a higher level, like a supervisor. That's how to follow a new business model. Inana ang first changing structural types. And the next one is some companies shift organizational structure to original model to assign local managers. Like, i-shift nila ilahang mga trabahante, ilang mga employee. From manager sa Mabinay, i-shift nila to manager sa Bais. Ipang-shift nila, like, para ipang-assign nila og lain-lain nga mga lugar. Pero same name sa company ra Japon. That's the example of changing structural types. Changing structural types. Next, an organizational structure is a system for accomplishing and connecting the activities that occur within a work organization. So, people rely on structures to know what work they should do, how their work spreads or relies on other employees, and how these work activities fulfill the purpose of the organization itself. So we all know nga ang organizational structure is katuning work, activities, connecting the activities connecting the activities that occur within a work organization. So, diri nagrili ang mga tao or ang mga workers ungon sa ilang buhaton, how their work supports or relies on other employees, like silang buhaton, unsalan ilahang on and unsalay outcome ani nga activities, how these work activities fulfill the purpose of the organization itself. Unsay purpose sa activities nga ilang gibuhat ana nga organization. Next, downsizing. So in downsizing, companies commonly downsize to remain functional during a loss of revenue. Most companies will close departments, drop product lines, lay off managers, and sell facilities to keep a company afloat. Some companies recognize business structure to meet the needs of the new organization and its smaller size. So, sa downsizing, once ang imuhang ganing company remain function, it means ga-function na Japan but still ang product or ang iyahang nabaligya is nagkaubos na. So, kinahanglan na pod, wala na tong ilahang mag-layoff sila sa mga manager or some of their stock is ipamaligya na nila sa other companies. So, some companies recognize business structure to meet the needs of new organization at its smaller size. Next, expanding. So, expanding is the corporate expansion demands the creation of new departments to accommodate new products or new facilities. So, for any expansion, companies has to rearrange business structure to include the new staff. Companies often make changes in the basic organizational structure for any expansion. So, for the expanding, lahi siya sa downsizing. Ang downsizing, kay mag-lay off sila sa ilang mga trabahante. Ang expanding is magdawat sila og mga trabahante or like ilang duhagan ilang mga products or ilahang mga magbutang sila lain mga laing sa laing lugar o company name nila Japan. That's how their companies often make changes in the basic organizational structure for any expansion. That's expanding. Next, merger and acquisition. So, we all know that merger is katong two companies emerge nila. Emerge. I mean, usahon ang name. Like, M&A. Sauna, impa na. And naa sila other partners nga emerge ilang duhang company. That's why ang ilang name is M&A. So, merger and acquisition refers to the process of acquiring a company at a price called the acquisition price or acquisition premium. So, the key principle behind M&A is to create shareholder value over and above of the sum of two companies. So, two companies together are more valuable than two separate companies. That is merger and acquisition. They merge their two companies para mudako ang ilahang business. That's the meaning of merger and acquisition. So, ang acquisition is a price. That's what we call price. We acquire a company at a price called the acquisition. So, next. Merger and acquisition distinction between mergers and acquisitions. When we say mergers, katuning tag-iya sa company. Mergers silang duha. When one company takes over another and clearly establishes itself as the new owner, the purchase is called an acquisition. So, when one company takes over another and clearly establishes itself as the new owner, like, two companies, ilahang merge. So, dili man na siya mahimo, abi kay gi-merge sa duhang tag-iya, usari tag-iya na, which is, katong dako siya og value diha sa company. Dako og stock nga gihatag sa company. Siya mo'y manag-iya. And that's what we call the purchase in that company is called acquisition. Ang dakong stock siya maoy nag-iya, new owner sa company nga gi-merge. So, when two firms, often of the same size, agree to go forward as a single new company rather than remain separately owned and operated, this is referred to as a merger. Two firms, often the same size, agree to forward a single new company rather than remain separately owned. That's what we call merger. So, when two firms often the same size, nga naman makaunta, mas better ang emerge o dili emerge. I-separate silang duha. Why? Because if ang two companies is dako, parehas sila nga dagko, parehas sila ang size, iusa na nila muda kong ilang business, pwede sila makapatukod og lain na pon nga business. That's the reason of merger. I-merge nila lang company. Next, merger and acquisition. Same sa akong gikuan. Balik ra gyapon ta. So, types of merger. Types of merger is horizontal merger, vertical merger, and co-generic merger. And another one is conglomerate merger, amalgamation. Sorry. So next is merger and acquisition. So types of merger is horizontal merger, vertical merger, co-generic merger, conglomerate merger, and amalgamation. So the horizontal merger is merger exists between two companies who compete in the same industry segment. So for example, in this horizontal merger, like they compete with each other. Two companies compete with each other. So, for example, ang usa company is nalugi, ang usa is okay ra. But then, imbis iyang paliton ang stock sa pikas, but then di masugot ang katong nalugi. So they nagsabot sila nga i-merge na lang ang ilahang company so that matabang pa. So the two companies gain strength in terms of improved performance, increased capital, and enhanced profit. So kung the two companies gain strength in terms of improved performance, increased capital, and enhanced profit. Like what I said, if ang usa nalugi, ang usa wala, di nagsabot sila nga mag-merge, ma-increase ang ilahang, ma-improve ilang performance, ma-increase ilang capital since merge silang duha, and ang profit po nila is ma-enhance. That's the reason of merging. That's the outcome of merging. So horizontal merger reduces the number of competitors and the segment and gives a higher edge over competition. So why ngano ma-reduce ang competitors? Kay why? The reason is nag-merge naman ang duha, so nakuhaan na pog usa nga competitors. Gamay na lang sila competitors since nag-merge ang duha ka companies. And so the next one is not mine, so that's the last report that I have. Thank you.